Greetings. Today's guest is a Bach Stradivarius cornet made in Mount Vernon, New York in 1955. I bought this instrument, I believe, in 2003. Here's how it looked like back then. And I shortly thereafter had it restored to its former glory. The bell number is stamped. Not usual for this time. It's a 31 bell, which would lead one to believe that it's a medium bore. M stamped right here. We'll hit the shop card to see what else we can find about this particular instrument. Here's the shop card, serial number, Stradivarius model cornet, valve bore 453 thousandths of an inch, that's medium bore. Valve model E. Valve fit exceptionally tight with one of those mysterious numbers that no one really knows what it means. Plating of pistons mono, bell 31, bell brass standard, gauge 2/100ths of an inch, 106 mouth pipe, date completed April 21, 1955, finish 1.5, that's just lacquer. Date sold April 21, 1955 to the Williams Piano Company, looks like Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and then the end user, D. Kelly, Sioux Falls, South Dakota. I also have the original guarantee signed by Vincent Bach, although the year is wrong. It says 1956, it should say 1955. Pretty cool. So, this configuration is known as a long model cornet, compared to the more traditional shepherd's bow bell configuration. And by nature of this design, it does have a slightly brighter sound than the more traditional cornet designs. This particular example, I'm not going to take it apart and show you right now, but we have the serial number engraved on the action rod. You'll have to take my word for it. It's also engraved
inside the top cap and on the valve stems.
And not usual, but very interesting, the serial number is also engraved on the valve guide inside. And each one of these parts is also numbered 1, 2, and 3. Other differences that you can just see very quickly are, of course, the reversed third slide stop, as was typical of this era. And of course, the absence of a first slide thumb hook. These pull knobs are in this position because one single pull knob could not be put here, because then you wouldn't be able to get the tuning slide out, the main tuning slide. Some players are suspect or a little critical of the long model design, saying that it sounds too trumpet-like. But then my question for them would be, what mouthpiece are you using? If you use, say, a 1.5C for your trumpet, and you use a 1.5C cornet mouthpiece, your cornet's going to sound like a trumpet. There are some really interesting designs. Dennis Wick makes very fine cornet mouthpieces, as does Mark Curry. We're just going to zip down to the studio and do a very quick test of 3 different mouthpieces. First, the Dennis Wick 2B. Second, a Bach 1.25C for cornet. And third, a 1.25 VC made by Curry. Just in case you haven't seen this famous letter. at the beginning of the 20th century, especially in American bands and orchestras, the cornet was infinitely more commonplace than the trumpet. Hence this letter from Herbert Clark to Eldon Benge, in which he states, "I never heard of a real soloist playing before the public on a trumpet. One cannot play a decent song even, properly, on it. And it has sprung up in the last few years like jazz music, which is the nearest hell, or the devil in music. It pollutes the art of music." So I think you can notice a difference there. The Bach 1 1/4 C cornet mouthpiece makes this instrument sound more like a trumpet. I already play trumpet, so I wasn't looking for a different instrument that sounded really, really similar to the trumpet. I was looking for an instrument that was kind of halfway between the trumpet and the flugelhorn. And if you're going to buy an instrument and have 3 more valves to feed, why get something that's so similar to an instrument that you already play? Fun thing about the cornet, I find it very pleasant and easier sometimes to practice Arbin or typical technique or etudes from Arbin or Clark. It just seems like it's a little bit easier and a little bit nicer to listen to on the cornet, but that's just me. Let's head down to the studio and listen a bit more closely. Thanks for watching the video. Please hit like and subscribe. Head over to Bandcamp and pick up some tunes. If you want to hear this particular cornet in action, it's featured quite prominently on an album of mine called 6. So, thanks again. See you next time.